What if the hardest target on Earth is not a warship, not a missile silo, and not a military base? What if it is a mountain that does not move? A mountain that does not fire back? A mountain that has spent decades being transformed into a fortress buried beneath the earth? Now, imagine a weapon falling from the sky at incredible speed. It disappears into rock. For several seconds, nothing happens. Then the mountain begins to shake. A flash erupts from underground. Smoke escapes from hidden cracks. And suddenly the question changes. The question is no longer, can a bomb hit the target? The question becomes, can anything hidden beneath the earth truly survive modern warfare? Because deep inside Iran, the answer to that question may determine the future balance of power across the Middle East. And the weapon at the center of this story is not America's largest bomb. It is not the famous 30,000-pound monster designed for the world's most protected underground facilities. It is something smaller, something more practical. The GBU 72 Advanced 5K Penetrator, a 5,000-pound bunker penetrator designed for a very specific problem. A problem Iran spent 40 years creating. The world noticed the explosion. But the real story began decades earlier, because Iran understood something about modern warfare. If you cannot defeat an enemy in the sky, survive underneath it. Across the country, military facilities began moving underground: missile storage, command centers, production facilities, research sites. The deeper they went, the harder they became to reach. The strategy was simple. A visible military base can be destroyed. A hidden one creates uncertainty. And uncertainty is power. From satellite images, many of these locations appear ordinary. A mountain ridge, a few roads, a few buildings. Nothing that immediately reveals what exists beneath the surface. But below the rock is an entirely different battlefield. A world of tunnels and reinforced chambers designed around one assumption. The enemy may be powerful, but the enemy cannot reach us, and for years. That assumption shaped Iran's military strategy. But here is the problem. Modern warfare is built around breaking assumptions. The United States has spent decades developing weapons designed not only to hit targets, but to defeat the protection around those targets. The goal is not simply more explosive power. The goal is access. Because the hardest part of destroying an underground facility is not creating a bigger explosion. It is getting the explosion to the right place. A normal bomb attacks the surface. A bunker penetrator attacks the space beneath it. That difference changes everything. To understand why the GBU 72 matters, look at the gap in America's arsenal. At the top sits the massive ordnance penetrator, a weapon so large that only a small number of aircraft can carry it. It was designed for the most extreme targets, the deepest, the strongest, the facilities that ordinary weapons cannot touch. But there is a problem. You cannot use the biggest weapon every time. It requires specialized aircraft, long range planning, massive logistics, and a target important enough to justify the cost. At the other end are smaller bunker-busting weapons. They are easier to deploy, more flexible, but they have limits. They can defeat hardened structures, but not every mountain, not every underground complex. Between those two extremes was a dangerous gap. Facilities that were too protected for smaller weapons, but not valuable enough to justify the largest weapon in America's inventory. That gap is exactly where the GBU 72 enters the story. The weapon is not designed to replace the biggest bomb. It is designed to make far more targets vulnerable. And that creates a new problem for every country that depends on underground protection. Because a bunker is not powerful only because of its walls. It is powerful because of the belief that those walls will hold. That belief is the real defense system. The moment an opponent proves those walls can be penetrated, the entire strategy begins to change. Commanders begin asking new questions. Schuled missiles remain underground. Should facilities be moved? Should resources be spent building deeper shelters? Should more weapons be hidden as backups? One successful strike can force an enemy to rethink thousands of decisions. That is why the explosion matters. Not because of what it destroys, but because of what it changes. Inside the weapon itself is a lesson in engineering. A bunker penetrator is not built like a normal bomb. A normal bomb explodes when it hits. A bunker penetrator must survive the impact. The weapon's outer casing is designed to absorb enormous stress as it tears through layers of soil, rock, and reinforced concrete. Because the explosion only matters after penetration. The bomb must first enter the fortress, then become the thing the fortress was designed to prevent. The footage of a mountain erupting is dramatic, but the real violence happened before anyone saw the fire. It happened underground, in darkness, inside the structure Iran believed was protected. And this creates another contradiction. The deeper a facility goes, the safer it appears. But deeper also means more dependence on a smaller number of critical systems. Electricity, ventilation, communications, access tunnels, personal movement. A mountain can hide a missile, but it cannot operate without the outside world. The fortress protects the weapon. The fortress also creates a network of vulnerabilities. This is the problem every underground military system eventually faces. You can move the battlefield underground, but you cannot remove the battlefield completely. Now look at the aircraft carrying this weapon. Because the story is not only about the bomb, it is also about speed. The GBU 72 has been integrated with platforms such as the F-15E Strike Eagle. And that matters because modern warfare is increasingly about reaction time. A commander does not only ask, "Do we have the weapon?" The commander asks, "Can we use it before the target changes?" A hidden missile facility may move equipment. A command center may relocate. A storage site may become a decoy. The longer the delay, the more uncertainty grows. The advantage belongs to the side that can connect intelligence, aircraft, weapons, and decision-making faster. But the part most people miss is this. The GBU 72 is not only a bomb. It is a message for Iran, for other underground military powers, for any country that believes depth equals immunity. The message is simple. The underground battlefield is no longer separate from the air war. The mountains are now part of the battlefield. And once that happens, the entire strategic calculation changes. Because this conflict is moving toward a much bigger question, not, can America destroy one bunker? But can any country build a fortress that remains valuable when the enemy can see deeper, strike farther, and adapt faster? And that question extends far beyond Iran. It reaches countries that rely on tunnels, hardened shelters, and hidden weapons. Because the future battlefield may not belong to the side that builds the deepest bunker. It may belong to the side that understands what is happening beneath the surface. And that is where this story becomes much larger than one bomb. Because the explosion everyone sees may only be the beginning. The real war is happening somewhere much deeper. Everyone thinks this battle is about a bomb hitting a mountain, but the real battle is about something much harder to destroy. Confidence for 40 years. Iran built its underground military network around one assumption. If the weapon cannot reach the target cannot be defeated. That assumption shaped everything. The mountains became the shield. The tunnels became the insurance policy. The depth became the deterrent. But the arrival of weapons like the GBU 72 changes the equation because it does not simply attack concrete. It attacks the belief that concrete can guarantee survival. And that is a much bigger strategic problem because modern warfare is rarely decided by destroying every target. It is decided by changing what the enemy believes is possible. Deep inside Iran's missile infrastructure, the biggest threat is not the crater above the facility. It is the uncertainty spreading through every command room below it. A missile commander looking at a map now has a new question. Is this bunker actually safe? A military planner has another. How many underground facilities can we protect? And a government facing pressure has the most important question of all. How much of our strategic power still exists after the next strike? This is where the invisible battlefield begins. The bomb is visible. The psychological effect is not. And the second one may matter more. Look at a satellite image of Iran's underground military network. At first glance, it looks like a geography problem, mountains, rock, distance, natural protection. But the deeper you look, the more complicated the picture becomes. Because an underground facility is not just a hole in the ground. It is a living system. It needs electricity, ventilation, maintenance crews, transportation routes, communications, security forces, supply chains. The mountain protects the missile, but the mountain also creates dependency. The deeper the bunker becomes, the more it depends on everything above the surface. That is the contradiction Iran has spent decades managing. The same underground world designed to hide military power also creates new vulnerabilities. And this changes everything, because destroying a bunker is only one possible objective. Making that bunker unreliable may be enough. This is why the GBU 72 matters beyond its explosive power. The weapon represents a shift from destruction to disruption. The United States does not necessarily need to eliminate every missile underground. It may only need to create enough uncertainty that Iran cannot confidently use them. That is the difference between attacking a weapon system and attacking a strategy. A missile battery is hardware, but the ability to threaten an enemy is psychological. Remove that confidence, and the weapon's value changes before the weapon itself disappears. The lesson here is simple. A military asset is not only valuable because of what it can destroy, it is valuable because of what the enemy believes it can do. But here is the problem. Iran is not fighting a simple technological battle, because every new American capability creates a new adaptation. And this is where warfare becomes a cycle. One side develops a deeper bunker. The other develops a stronger penetrator. One side hides missiles underground. The other side improves intelligence and surveillance. One side builds deception. The other side builds better sensors. The battle moves upward. From concrete to information, from explosives to decision-making. The next battlefield may not be the underground facility itself. It may be the intelligence network trying to determine which mountain matters. Because a perfect weapon against the wrong target is still a failure. Imagine a command center thousands of miles away. Analysts study satellite images. Signals intelligence is collected. Aircraft sensors scan the region. Artificial intelligence compares patterns. A small change appears. A new vehicle convoy. A new entrance. A new communication signal. The question is no longer, can we destroy this bunker? The question becomes, do we know what is inside? That is the hidden war beneath the visible war. Information has become the first weapon, before the aircraft launches, before the bomb falls, before the explosion reaches the surface. The war has already started inside the intelligence cycle. And this is why underground warfare has become one of the defining challenges of modern conflict. Because technology creates a strange paradox. The more advanced precision weapons become, the more important uncertainty becomes. A country does not need thousands of missiles if its opponent cannot determine which missiles still exist. A bunker does not need to be invincible. It only needs to create enough doubt. That is why underground facilities remain attractive to states like Iran, North Korea, and others. They are not simply physical shelters. They are strategic insurance policies. They buy time. They create hesitation. They force an attacker to spend more resources solving the problem. But insurance only works if the enemy believes the policy still has value. And that is exactly what advanced bunker penetrators are designed to challenge. Now, zoom out. Because the GBU 72 story is not only about Iran, it represents a much larger transformation in warfare. For decades, military power was measured by visible platforms. More aircraft, more ships, more missiles, more troops. But the modern battlefield is becoming a competition between systems: a weapon, an intelligence network, a logistics chain, a political strategy, an economic foundation, all connected together. The bomb is only one piece. The real weapon is the entire system that allows the bomb to arrive at the right place, at the right time, against the right target. That is why the aircraft carrying it matters. That is why regional bases matter. That is why allies matter. A 5,000-pound bomb is not powerful because of its weight alone. It is powerful because thousands of decisions allow it to reach the mountain. And then there is the energy question, because Iran's underground military network does not exist separately from the global economy. Every strike changes calculations far beyond the battlefield. Oil markets react. Shipping companies adjust routes. Insurance costs rise. Governments reconsider alliances. A weapon hitting a mountain in Iran can eventually affect decisions made in offices thousands of miles away. That is the modern battlefield. A missile site underground. An oil trader watching prices. A politician calculating public pressure. A military planner studying satellite imagery. All connected by one conflict, but the biggest question remains unanswered. Does increasing military pressure actually force a political decision? Or does it create a more dangerous cycle? History shows both possibilities. Some governments negotiate when their strategic assets are threatened. Others become more determined. Some collapse under pressure. Others adapt. The uncertainty is the most important factor, because no weapon can guarantee the political outcome after it is used. A bunker buster can destroy concrete. It cannot destroy ideology. It can damage infrastructure. It cannot automatically change leadership decisions. And that is the challenge facing any military campaign built around precision strikes. The physical target may be clear. The strategic outcome is not. The question is no longer whether the United States has weapons capable of reaching hardened underground targets. It does. The real question is whether destroying access to military power can change the decisions of the people who control it. Because future wars may not be decided by who owns the biggest bomb. They may be decided by who understands the invisible battlefield better. The battlefield of perception. So the question for you is, do you believe future conflicts will be won by stronger weapons, or by the side that builds the smarter military system behind those weapons?